We are live. Thursday, May 7th, McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk. I am Pat McAfee, the first half of that name. Sitting to my left, the handsome man wearing a three-quarter zip is AJ Hawk. AJ, how's it going, pal?
It's going great, pal. How you doing?
Hey,
you all right?
I'm good. I'm in a good spot. I mean, I just got a massive wave of emotion just went through my lungs and came right out there right before we get live, and I feel pretty good. Not a bad lunch today. Good first show. Got a lot of conversation with Bruce Arians, Chris Harris Jr., and a lot of other things to cover, especially topical events like the new quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys who'll be joining us today, Andy Dalton. Isn't that right, AJ Hawk?
Yeah, in theory, that was what we were going to do. That was the plan, huh? And we got derailed.
What do you mean?
And it's not Andy. I don't know. I guess I don't know. He can't come on, at least right now. Maybe eventually he can come on the show.
Andy Dalton, scheduled to be on McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk today after signing with the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday or Saturday night, whatever it was. Friend of the show, we thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Friend of the show.
Good friend.
Somebody we've gone to bat for on a very regular occasion.
Probably not anymore.
We heard him go on the Adam Schefter podcast after signing with the Dallas Cowboys, so we do know that he has spoken to the media since then. Supposed to come on the show, can't come on the show. Last minute, can't do it. What's that all about? Do I hate him now? Do I hate Andy Dalton now? That is what I really have to ask myself. And AJ, I would like you to tell me whether or not I should hate him or not.
No, I mean, I don't think you should hate him. He did everything he could to try to make it on the show. Pat, you know from dealing with NFL PR teams, like they don't like when you go directly to the person. They want you to go through their channels to make sure that they're okay with it. And I don't know. I think Andy's he's too good of a guy. He doesn't want to ruffle any feathers and mess anything up. He hasn't even stepped foot in the facility yet, even though he signed with Dallas. So
I know he's
not going to be on the show.
He's got that side yard. He's got kids, and maybe we go directly to the source because they're adults, they're grown-ups. If they want to have conversations with their friends about their lives, and who knew we weren't even going to talk about him being on Dallas Cowboys. We never said we were going to talk about him being on Dallas Cowboys.
I know.
This son of a bitch. Who should I hate? I shouldn't hate Andy Dalton, you're saying? I shouldn't.
No. I think Andy will definitely come on eventually. I just think.
Maybe. I'm going to try to burn that bridge down right now, though.
We know that you love you're a great grudge holder. You'll hold it until the end of time. We know that.
Not to Andy. But so you're saying that what potentially happened here was Andy thought, you know what, since I didn't get this okayed with my new team, I don't want to go in on a bad foot or a bad first impression. Well, let's wait until we get a little bit past this so I don't piss anybody off. You think that's what he was thinking?
Yeah, I think so. I think they just want to keep everything, I don't know, maybe in Dallas. They don't, with the whole Dak contract situation, I'm guessing that's why they don't want to drum up more controversy over the quarterback position there and what's going on in Dallas.
That makes sense. I guess Jerry Jones will be on the NFL Network this evening. I'm sure he'll get asked about that entire situation. He'll handle it well, whether he's on his yacht or at his house in Dallas doing his own thing. This NFL Network reaction to the schedule release show is ESPN's planning on going live for 3 hours or something like that tonight, and we thought that was a bit alarming, right? We were all like 3 hours to react to the schedule release. What could you not get done in the first hour that you have to get done in the next 2 hours? But I was appreciative, and we were planning on watching that. A lot of people we know, probably going to be a good show. If we would have thought that this was that big of a deal in advance, I assume we would have potentially done a live watch-along, but we didn't know this was this big of a deal, I don't think.
I had no idea this
Me
was
neither.
this big a deal. I understand where the times we're living in, why it is a huge deal. But, man, when you look at it, every team already knows who they're playing. They know where they're playing. We just don't know the order in which they play these teams. So the schedule release doesn't really give us a ton of info. It just tells you when they're going to be playing the opponents that we already know they're playing.
I said on the earlier show that whenever, as a punter, the schedule would come out, I would just go right to December, see what shit windy holes will we be punting in December, and then I move on with my life, okay? Let's hope that nothing in Buffalo or the AFC North is in December if we got to play them. Let's hope we get them early. One year they put me in Denver the first week. I was very thankful for that. I'm like, thank you for putting me in Mile High. Maybe get me a week 3 or 4 when I'm really hitting a groove. Would have been a little bit better, but I appreciate you putting me out there. For everybody else in the NFL, now coaches obviously start with the mindset we lead off with this. This is the target. This is what we're going for. Preseason's not going to happen. But for a middle linebacker like yourself, was there anything that mattered coming out of this schedule release for you?
No, but the only thing I looked at, I guess the first thing I looked at, okay, when's our bye?
Yo, bye week's a big deal.
Hopefully it's somewhere in the middle of the season. Yeah, who knows? Whatever. I looked at the bye week, and then I guess kind of like you, what the majority of teams did, you look to see, oh, maybe we'll get – I was in Green Bay, so I'm thinking hopefully maybe if we're playing a Florida team, we play them late in the year, November, December. We get one of those to take one of those freezing games off the list, I guess. That's all I cared about. I didn't ever look at like, oh, that's 2 tough back-to-back away games. Uh-oh, what are we going to do? I never looked at that. That was never an issue for me. Maybe it was other guys, but the schedule release and the schedule was never talked about in the locker room where I was. Like, I don't know if it is other places, or maybe I just had buried my head in the sand and didn't care, but I don't remember it being a big deal, at least inside the locker room.
There was numerous times, and I'm just the punter, right? So I am in a different world than everybody else, especially when it comes to preparation for games, because it's me and the ball basically every single time. There was times there late in my career where I'd go on Bob and Tom on Tuesday mornings, okay? Local morning show that's on like 170 stations, syndicated nationwide, good people, good show. I would go in on Tuesdays, my off days, and there was on numerous occasions when I would go in there that whenever they would start talking about our next game, I had no fucking idea who we were playing. That was Tuesday going into the week. I didn't even know who we were playing. I knew that I had to be up at 6:30 a.m. the next morning for our special teams meeting at 7:30, which then has team meeting at 8. And I assume I'll learn at that point. But I didn't even think of who was next. And now, granted, I assume other people are differently. But I feel like one of the big advantages of some athletes and some people is being able to focus on whatever the hell you have right now. And then we'll worry about whatever's next, and then we'll move forward. I was very much that singular focused person. I assume a lot of other people were. It was to the point where I didn't even know who the fuck we were playing 4 days from now. But Diggs brought up a good point earlier. Fans obviously like this because they can schedule maybe the away game that they want to go to. They can see where the division champ is going to be lined up against their favorite team. Where's the rivalry games? What's going on late in the season and all that stuff. I can see the allure of it. 3-hour reaction show I thought was a bit much, but then I look over what the NFL Network is doing. The NFL Network is packed tonight at 8 o'clock. Now, I want to say that I thought the 3-hour show was going to be a bit much over there for ESPN, and maybe they'll be able to digest some stuff hour 3 that'll be valuable for people to know, and maybe they're just trying to do shows because it's something different, and I respect it. But NFL Network tonight is going to be must-watch television. You're talking about 27 different teams being represented and a lot of big-time names. Tomlin's going on there. He's never on these things. Belichick's going. Bruce Arians is going, who we had on earlier. I mean, you name it. People are going to be in here. Jerry Jones, John Elway. I mean, the people that need answers or have to give answers or give reactions are all going to be on NFL Network tonight. This is a brilliant idea by the NFL, getting all their teams to get on this thing, and I hope they don't just talk about the schedule. I hope Bill Belichick gets asked about everything. Like, I hope it's a real interview, and because it's on an NFL channel, you can't expect that, but I just hope that is the particular case, and I hope we get some real answers out of some things, because I think all these coaches don't give a damn about the schedule either. So I think they'll only be talking about, things that potentially happen, how they go forward. Jerry Jones is going to get asked about the quarterback situation tonight. I would assume Rich Eisen's going to have to ask him. This is going to be must-see television, and I'm pumped up for it.
Well, I think Rich is a good guy to host this thing because he'll be fair to the NFL to where he's not going to like attack these coaches, but he is going to ask them some normal questions like that we care about. Ask Belichick about Tom Brady. Belichick gives us nothing. I think Bruce Arians, the guys with big, like, dynamic personalities, they'll give some real answers. They want to have some fun with it. Vrabel will definitely give some good answers. He doesn't care to just speak about the schedule. It's just, what do you ask these guys? Hey, so coach, your schedule came out. What do you think? I don't know. We found out who we were playing months ago. It doesn't matter what time we're playing in the date of the game, so they don't really care.
Go ahead, Diggs.
I would say with all those guests, like ESPN's going to be 3 hours. That's going to be 6 hours.
That's what I'm saying. There's no way that's under 3 hours because what are you getting, a minute and a half with each person? I mean, this is going to be something. If you listen to any of our shows or watch this show, or I can assume and tell you that what we're talking about tomorrow, I would assume the schedule maybe. There's a couple big games. Tom and Tampa Bay are allegedly taking on Drew Brees and the Saints week 1. So it's like, hello, welcome to the NFC South. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you have Drew Brees. I'm going to assume the Saints, by the way, win that game by maybe 20 to 21 points because they got their I mean, they have a lot of continuity on that side as opposed to the Buccaneers. The conversation after that game is going to be, did Tom Brady come to the wrong team? Should they have kept with Jameis Winston? Did Jameis Winston win because the Saints beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And it's because they're not going to be able to be around each other until probably week 5. They won't even know each other's real names inside and out and stuff like that. But these are the things that I'm intrigued by and we'll talk about. But I assume all those interviews and conversations that they're going to have is probably where we're going to grab some real gems from for tomorrow.
I mean, you would hope so. I don't know. Like, I'm curious as to how this plays out. So wait, who has the official release? The NFL Network, and then ESPN is covering it from there. Like, how does it work?
The teams are all allowed to release their own schedules at 7:30. Now, granted, there's leaks coming out right now. There is things are just getting dropped because in this world that we live in, as soon as you find out a piece of information, if you're in a position to give it out, you give it out. That's why Kim Jong-un could lie that he was dead because somebody in his inner circle was like, to the media in America, and then now that person's probably getting bit by dogs, by the way. The person that leaked the fake information, he was dead. But this is just, as soon as you get information, you got to get it out there. So the schedule is going to be leaked all day. I think 8 o'clock just becomes reaction time by the people who put on makeup and get on television.
Yeah, I guess, but what kind of reaction can you have? Like, honestly, when you look at the schedule, what can you say? Oh, what do you think? A couple tough back-to-back weeks there, huh, Jimmy? Yeah, well, I guess so. Guess what? It's the NFL. Everybody's good.
Hey, they got an early bye week. Look for that experienced veteran team to maybe slow down towards the end of the year there. And if you start looking at their division, there's no chance they're going to win division with the way this schedule is set up. They say you can't win games in April and May and in March. But I'll tell you what, you can lose them whenever the schedule is set up this way. That is what, if I was on that show, I would be making these long, drawn-out, ridiculous statements that mean absolutely nothing tomorrow, just because that's really all you could do with the NFL schedule being released is just go. I guess the Tom Brady Saints thing is warranted of a conversation because the Jameis angle and the NFC South is going to be on primetime television a lot. But other than that, I'm not certain what the hell any of this means.
There was two big stories that I remember last year after the schedule came out. One was that the Raiders were going to have 1 p.m. Eastern start times, which is for a West Coast team a big deal. And then the Bucks, I believe, had 6 straight road games where they weren't so it's little things like that'll come out where you'll
and over-under betting now, right? So that's a big deal. So whenever you see that type of stuff, West Coast team playing at 1 o'clock on the East Coast, that's tough because the sleep schedule is difficult to change, especially whenever you only got a couple of days. You got to get back into an NFL Sunday the next week. That San Francisco 49ers run was talked about where they went to Baltimore, and then they were down in New Orleans. It was a big, long, sweeping travel. So I guess there are things that you can learn from this that could potentially change your betting for over and under for win totals. But aside from that, I'm not 100% sure. You know what I am 100% sure of, though, AJ?
What's that?
I got these shorts that I wear that are the most comfortable things these thighs have ever felt before.
Oh, what are they called?
Well, before we get to that, let me explain to you why they are the way they are.
Oh, man, you're teasing me.
Yep, that's called a tease, my friend. That is called a tease. So back in the day, whenever they would have the inner lining on a bathing suit, it was like that weird netting, right? And your kit and caboodle were always getting that thing. You know what I mean? You would walk around, you'd accidentally jump off the diving board or something. You hit the water, that thing comes directly up on your kid, and then you're like, oh my God. And normally you would cut that out of your shorts because of how uncomfortable it was. It was we get the concept. We don't want to get our boxers wet, but we would like to swim, but we still want to keep our things together. We understand the concept. You just haven't figured it out yet. Then Bird Dogs came around and they figured it out. Pair of shorts that has an inner lining that basically holds you together, but it moves with you, not against you. It's very, very comfortable, and it's from Bird Dogs. Listen, this company has been around for a few years. You've heard about them. They say they're the most comfortable shorts of all time. They have great designs, and you would think that has to be a bunch of bullshit. It's not. They sent us a bunch to the office, and including a Crocs-like shoe.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Crocs are unbelievable.
I don't know if they're Crocs, by the way.
They are. I are. Confirmed on the website.
So it's Bird Dogs Crocs cross promotion. And right now, if you go to, what's that?
Yeah, it says Crocs.
So it's Crocs Bird Dogs?
Yeah, I'm just confused. I didn't know Crocs were with a K.
I think it's spelled differently.
C-R-O-K-S.
Oh,
that's a different Croc.
That's a different Croc.
Well,
anyways, they got that very, very comfortable, just like the shorts, very comfortable.
That's a wife.
Right now, you go to birddogs.com and you enter promo code Sports Talk. Okay, not only do you buy the most comfortable shorts getting ready for summer where you can wear, they got khaki color, they got a American flag, they got blue, they got all these. You can jump in the pool, go out to the barbecue, throw some cornhole, and be comfortable. You can even wear them out to church if you need to. You can wear them to work. They're adaptable. They're all-terrain shorts, and they're very comfortable. You go to birddogs.com and enter promo code SPORTSTALK. They'll throw in a free pair of nunchucks.
Whoa! What? Whoa! 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 The mic's dead! The mic's dead! He's dead!
Oh, no.
Fuck out!
Oh no!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh, there was.
So do they sell nunchucks on their website?
Foxy, how'd you miss the fucking armbar?
The camera was not in the right position.
You go to birddogs.com, enter promo code SPORTSTALK, and they'll throw in a free pair of nunchucks.
Oh my god!
These nunchucks.
Oh,
Right no, they're done.
sorry.
I'm done.
PTSD.
Birddogs.com, promo code SPORTSTALK. Boom, free pair of nunchucks with your bird dogs. You will not take these things off, I promise you.
Those Crocs too. Crocs got a bad rap, and I think it was mostly because of the people that were wearing them, the humans that were wearing them.
what just happened?
I put this thing in an armbar, by the way, down here. You didn't see it.
Took advantage of an opportunity.
I think. Oh no, you couldn't see it.
No, I couldn't see it.
Nobody could see it. I could see like the very tip of your head. That's it.
This is where the camera was. You wouldn't have been able to see anything if I clicked to that.
Wow.
You never know when an armbar is coming, Pat.
Yeah, I know.
Does it say that? Like that's weird. In the ad read, does it say like in parentheses?
Yes.
Pat pull the nunchucks out, beat the mic up, put it in an armbar on the ground.
No, it just says you get a free pair of nunchucks whenever you go to birddogs.com.
You go above and beyond the expectations.
Let's
That's
just
what
say
I love.
Bird Dog got a great commercial out of that one.
By the way, just like Bird Dogs goes above and beyond in comfort and style. That's what they do with their shorts, and you get a free pair of nunchucks. Not a lot of places can do that. Tonight I'm going to wear my E25 Raycon headphones. I'm going to get out my Bird Dogs nunchucks and my Bird Dogs Crocs and shorts, and I'm going to watch everybody from the NFL talk on the NFL Network about something that doesn't matter the schedule. It's awesome.
You hit it earlier though. The one thing I can understand somebody tuning in for is to see, okay, let's say I'm a Packers fan and I live in California now. When are they going to be closest to me?
Yeah.
Are they coming out here? When's it closest to the West Coast? Oh, cool. Let's try to schedule a trip to see this game. That's the main thing I could think of.
Here's some other interesting. The Las Vegas Raiders have a home game on Monday night, I think the second week.
That's what it was. Said, yeah.
And the Las Vegas Stadium is nowhere near completed. So they have a home game second week. Like, is that going to be something? Did they prepare for that? Or is the Las Vegas Raiders Stadium more complete than I think it is? I could be completely wrong, but the last picture showed one big piece of grass. And I don't know how fast these stadiums come together, but I'm excited to see their stadium. I'm excited to see them at home. They're getting showcased on Monday Night Football. I mean, there's a couple things you can get out of it, but not enough, I don't think.
Do you think they feel confident in being ready for the second week of the season because they're planning on not having fans there and they don't need to have all the seats ready?
That's a good point.
They're going to be playing at like a high school over there in Las Vegas. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Don't need anybody.
The
Just put
construction workers will be working while they're playing.
Also, high school in Vegas, Bishop Gorman is basically an NFL stadium.
That's where the Fertitta kids go, I think.
I've also been told
Dana White went
buildings
there.
in Nevada get built very fast
Yeah.
for some reason. I don't know if it's like
Dry
loose
Well, they build a lot of
restrictions or
buildings.
what,
Well, it's a dry heat.
Yeah.
It's a dry heat. That's why you get so hungover.
Is it?
That's why you forget stuff when you're there, too, because the dry heat happens. 3 teams have new stadiums this year. Is that the most in recent history? And they're banking on those stadiums getting finished while a quarantine is happening. There's no way the NFL could have prepared for the right Chargers, Rams, and Raiders. So there's 3 teams with new stadiums. They're just banking on those being done. Or is that the thought that we're not going to need a full stadium for a couple weeks? I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow or next week, but I mean, this is a roll of the dice, I think.
if you are the Las Vegas Raiders, they have to have some kind of backup plan in place if for some reason the stadium is not ready. Like, I mean, there's backup plans for backup plans now because we don't know. Everything changes day to day. They have to have many things set up, I guess.
You know what my backup plan always is? Nunchucks.
Whoa! Don't do it!
I'm not.
I can't wait till Zito gets to make a GIF probably 15 minutes from now of you hitting yourself in the temple accidentally.
No. That's why you got to look so uncoordinated when you got nunchucks, because they will fight back. You got to keep that thing right at distance. That thing's got you at bay if they want you.
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't had a pair of nunchucks in 20 years maybe.
Well, just wait till you go to birddogs.com and use promo code SportsTalk, and not only will you get a great pair of shorts, but you'll also get nunchucks.
So that's way better than getting like a 10 or 15% off our first order.
Oh, agreed. I mean, what are we doing? They already got cheap prices on the shorts. I mean, what do you want to get? You want them to give? No, we'll just give you a weapon to use. If Earl Thomas's wife walks in with nunchucks, do you think this is even a story?
Oh gosh, would it be? Wait, is she in less trouble if she has nunchucks instead of a gun?
Still a deadly weapon.
Hold on. Imagine her walking in. Okay? She walks in. Oh, son of no. My thing. Oh, no. She walks in, sees everybody naked, Earl's brother, women, and just goes, "What are you doing?" I always hit myself in the face there with the lefty. But this is a wild story. I think Earl's potentially going through a divorce here. His brother threw him a party. They were either meditating naked because everybody knows that's good for the mind. Mm-hmm. They were maybe doing yoga naked because there's no restrictions in getting stretched. Or they're all having sex with each other. But this is a wild story that I'm sure Earl Thomas never thought he would have to talk about on TMZ.
Yeah, well, didn't he post something on IG? Not the TikTok video that came out recently, earlier today?
Yeah,
was that last night?
2 hours ago, yeah.
Yeah, so 2 hours ago. But he came out, I know he had a video. So my agent just hit me and told me I'm going to be on TMZ, and he's trying to get ahead of it and whatever. But my question is, this thing happened about 3 weeks ago, it seems like. How do we not find out about it until now when everybody is stuck at their place figuring stuff out? Like, how do we know media people love to check like all the logs that the police have that's public? They check everything, but somehow this is 3 weeks later and we're finding out about it.
Well, you got to think UFOs came out and that was talked about for a day.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
This dude was just dead. He came back to life yesterday. A soccer player in Germany. The whole world is currently shut down.
Draft.
Murder hornets.
The draft happened. Jordan Love.
Actually, you know what probably suppressed it was the excitement leading up to the schedule release.
Well, not only schedule release, but also Jordan Love to the Packers. Mm-hmm. I mean, and there's a lot. Maybe the Earl Thomas news made like local waves, I would assume. But when Jordan Love gets drafted to the Packers, everything like that just kind of dissipates. And I think maybe that was the savior. But then somebody was like, wait a minute, did we not talk about this? And then that kind of got how it got going. But it sounds like Earl Thomas says, hey, we just need a little thoughts and prayers down here. We're going through some things. And Earl Thomas, a great football player, obviously. I have no idea what's going on in his personal life. But anytime you hear a story about your wife walking in on you with a gun with you and your brother naked with a bunch of women, I mean, that's going to have to be something that's talked about, even though he might have just been, maybe they were praying, by the way.
Possible.
Could have been.
Could have been praying, could have
Depends
been
on your
worshiping.
religion.
We don't know. We don't know what he was doing.
The best is when you read it. I know she took a couple friends with her. The cops say that one of them was recording part of the incident. Like, when does that footage get made public, or when does that leak?
Hopefully.
Brazzers already has it.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, I mentioned the Cheater show from back in the day. Do you remember that show?
Gosh, that had to be all set up, wasn't it?
Well, until that guy got stabbed on the boat. The host got stabbed
Was
on
that
the boat.
real, though?
Well, I always thought maybe it wasn't real. Maybe it was rigged. Maybe this thing was kayfabe. Maybe those weren't marital situations ending up terribly on national television while somebody's getting ponded out in a motel. Maybe that's all fake. Maybe this is Jerry Springer-like. But then you hear stories like this with Earl Thomas, and then other stories I've heard with other people. It's like, I think these are potentially real situations that go down in these types of situations, and that's why if you're gonna pray naked with your brother and a bunch of women, you got to keep the doors locked. I think that is probably rule number one if I was Earl Thomas.
Hey, how did she? So she said he left. She logged into his Snapchat account, saw pictures.
Oh boy.
With he and other girls. Did he see Snapchat of this girl? Like, how did she figure that out?
You could see, like, if you go on Snapchat, you could see, like, she could see his location and then can see if she's friends with those girls, like if they're in the same location,
Got to be careful on
Gotta turn
Snapchat.
it
Can't he
Ghost
turn
mode on.
location off?
could, but he didn't.
Ghost mode.
Got to be careful.
I don't know enough about the Snapchat, but it sure sounds like technology is making sure that you're tracked at all times these days. You accidentally hit a button on Twitter, it'll tweet where you're tweeting from. It's like, nah, get the fuck, I didn't mean to do that. And then it's harder to get out. I mean, there was back in the day, they started to track the phones. It was like beep, beep, chirp, chirp. I think T-Mobile had people's phones getting tracked there for a while. You could find where the phone was. That's when it started. And now I feel like, hey, DoorDash knows exactly where I'm at all times in my life. Google Maps knows exactly where I'm at. And for Earl Thomas, you don't care if Steve Jobs and Tim Cook know where you're at, but in that particular night, you just don't want your wife to know. And you do, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't if you got Snapchat. It really sounds like live by the sword. He died by numerous swords and bodies.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out. I doubt we're hearing the end of this, of how it all is going to play out, especially since Earl posted the video a couple hours ago of him having a good time. Is it his birthday?
Yeah, happy birthday, by the way, to Earl Thomas.
Happy birthday, Earl.
He's living right now. Earl Thomas might become my new favorite football player, by the way. The video that he posted immediately after the story being released, I believe he's in a adult ballet. There's some money on the ground, hose on the floor. You know what I mean? You get going, and they're just TikTok dancing and having a good life. And it appears if that might be the crew, by the way, that it potentially was. Now, we don't know. We have no idea. I believe his brother was in that video among with some ladies. They seemed like they were just enjoying themselves. Maybe they were on a ayahuasca. Yeah, like you said earlier. Maybe they were. We don't know what they were doing, what spiritual thing they could have been into,
Yeah.
but sure seems like his wife thought they were all sticking each other's things in each other's things.
Yep, she did. What if he comes out and he's innocent? Like he was legit meditating naked with his brother and some ladies.
We don't know.
Maybe he's just filming it.
Have you ever seen a documentary? I mean, there's a lot of documentaries. A bunch of people doing a lot of weird stuff. Hoping to talk to God.
He's a great player. Hell of a safety.
Hell of a safety. What do you got, Tiggs?
2 pieces of news came across the wire.
Here we go.
First one, NFL Competition Committee Chairman Rich McKay confirms that pass interference penalties will not be reviewable again in 2020.
Fucking Alberto Riveron. Listen, I thought we were done with this guy. I think that rule was a good rule if it would have been instituted properly. If you had somebody that wasn't inept reviewing the plays and understanding that, yes, there's pushing and shoving on everything, but if it's an egregious pass interference that 99% of the earth could tell, and you don't want to overturn it strictly because you think it puts the refs on the field in a bad position, it's a judgment call, and you don't want to knock them. This is why this rule was put in for good reason, and now it's being removed for good reason. And that good reason is the person that was reviewing these things, making the decisions, just refused to call it how everybody else on earth saw it. I think this could make the game better. A pass interference penalty is detrimental to the death of your team every single game. I mean, it's a first down at least. It could be a 50-yard play. If they fuck it up or don't get it right, there should be an ability with the technology that we have and the humans that we have to make it right. It's too important. The fact that they couldn't execute it last year, I think that isn't the reason to dump it out, but I guess they are dumping it out of the rule book, and I do not love it, AJ.
Well, so do they need to rewrite how the review rules are set up, or do they need to just abide by the rules and not make it so crazy to overturn one of these calls?
I think they just need a new person looking at the reviews. Maybe just take a Twitter poll and just listen to the millions and millions of people on the internet who seem to get it right every time, and Alberto Riveron somehow figures out a way to get it wrong. You saw coaches last year. A pass interference would happen and there would be no call. They would get out the red flag, look at all of their fans and be like, listen, I know, I would like to do this, but we all know the person that's reviewing this will not overturn this call. So I'm going to put this, because I don't want to lose a timeout or a challenge, I'm going to put this back in my pocket and not fucking throw it. The reason why is because the person that was reviewing it, this guy right here, Mr. Riveron, probably a good human, probably a good guy. Probably. I have no idea. I've never met him. But him reviewing was a nightmare last year. And it was put in a spotlight with this new rule. And now they're getting rid of it. I'm not happy about it. I feel like we should continue to advance the game with the technology that we have so that these refs don't get crucified, because we're expecting them to make mistakes, but we'd like the ability to correct them. Now we're taking that ability out. It's just, I guess it's a no-win if you're a ref. But I think last year it wasn't because of the thought. I think it was because of the execution.
Well, it was because a coach is like, okay, after the first couple of weeks, like, all right, why would I even throw this flag anymore? Like, it's not going to get overturned. I'm going to waste a challenge, lose a timeout.
Bingo.
And then that's what happened to like the second half of the season. Like, why would you even throw that flag? You know you're not going to get it. So yeah, maybe Dean Blandino takes that role and takes over Riveron's gig.
Hey, what he did with the XFL with the transparent review, or the XFL with the transparent reviews, I thought that was awesome. Little guy with an Xbox controller. Oh, his leg definitely hit the fucking ground. I don't know how you guys missed that, but we're going to move the ball back to that was great. It was efficient. They didn't have to run 55 yards to look into a tiny little monitor. When their Jumbotron's there, they had an earpiece in. Everybody could hear what they were saying. It made sense. And even if they were wrong, at least you heard why they were thinking about making that move. That was what they should institute. They saw the XFL do it, and although the XFL didn't survive because of quarantine, they had somebody serving nachos that had coronavirus early in this thing, which is kind of a tough thing to get over. I think the XFL did have a lot of good concepts, and I think the transparency of the review thing was a home run that I hope my commissioner, Roger Goodell, will institute as soon as possible.
But it's not in play this year, though, is it? Or are they going to vote on that?
I don't know how you don't see that and go, oh, we should fucking do that.
They had to. They had to hear everybody. Like it was 100% of people, I feel like, once the XFL started and they saw the review process, they're like, oh, this is great. Why don't the NFL should absolutely do this. The NFL doesn't need to be scared of them seeing like us seeing behind the curtain and what it looks like. No. I think everyone would appreciate it.
Now, what Nick was about to say is what a lot of people are probably thinking, unless they don't want you to get a look behind the curtain. And I don't think that's something we want to start talking about.
I'll throw it out there.
Don't.
I mean, look at the shirt he's wearing.
Oh, come on.
Oh, my God. The Italian club.
Respect the shield.
A lot of Italian refs.
Uh-huh.
Gene's territory.
Whoa, not Gene.
Ocular.
Oh, Blandino, right?
Gene's is Gene with CBS?
Yeah, he's the best, too.
He's awesome. He's the guy.
Gene's
He's the
king.
one who got a standing O when the real refs came back after the Fail Mary game. Remember, he walks out of the tunnel, and I don't know where it was, and they legit, the whole crowd, and he was juiced. It was the best day of his life.
By the way, good ref. Gene's territory.
In multiple sports.
Good
Yes.
ref.
Communicates well. Like he's a normal, like relatable dude on the field. You could ask him a question and he'll be honest. He won't just, a lot of those, especially older guys, like, oh, be quiet, get back in the huddle. Like he would talk to you. Like, well, hey man, like I saw you yank his jersey a little bit. You can't do that, man. You got to let go after 5, like stuff like that.
Gene and I had a beautiful relationship. We're both from Western Pennsylvania. He's a Pittsburgh guy as well. And he came to coach training camp. You know how they always send like an NFL crew to your camp to go over the new rules, and then they coach at camp a couple practices and stuff like that. I think I asked a question. He came in with a super Yinzer accent, and I was like, you a Yinzer or something like that? We started talking, and then the next day at camp, he was standing behind me, right, because that's where the head official stands, and I started talking shit to him or whatever, and then I missed one or whatever, and he was like, not your best, and then he has his whistle or whatever, and from that moment forward, every time we had him as a game, I would go out and we would shit talk each other for 15, 20 seconds before the ball is kicked. And then if I hit a good one, I would always get him running by me, bomb, and then he just it was like a cool relationship. It was a very cool relationship. He missed a roughing the passer or something that I think everybody thought. And it was like, I didn't get a chance to talk to him until like maybe 15, 20 minutes later because we didn't have to punt for it. And I go out on the field and I'm like, Paisan. And he's like, what's up, Patty, or whatever. I'm like, you fucked up that roughing the passer a couple of minutes. He's like, Pat, we are so far past that. I was like, this is my first time getting to talk to you, Gene, Like he was that guy, though. The NHL has those refs. They have that
Wes McCauley.
Wes McCauley. This guy, Wes McCauley, like I think that's how NFL refs should be. I think they should have personality. I don't think they should be scared whenever they're talking to a national audience in a solo shot because they are the representative of the game, right? Whenever they are saying something and they're fumbling and bumbling their words and they don't know who did what or where to go, that makes the game look bad because they are the representative of the game. I've always wanted a ref after a challenge to come out and go, like I said, after review, this son of a bitch stands. I wish that there was a little bit more moxie out of the refs because I think you have to, or you're going to get intimidated on the field. You're going to get lost. And people don't think about refs potentially choking, but these are massive moments for these humans who aren't always in this type of situation. Gene, Hockey, there's a couple other guys that I think have been great, but they're all getting plucked from these networks, getting big money. And then you got the Alberto Riverons ruining calls.
Well, yeah, they what's his name? What's the Fox guy's name? Oh, Pereira. Mike's awesome. He's great on TV. He does a great job explaining it. Gene is with CBS now. Like these guys, not only, I'm sure, are they getting more money with these networks, their schedule is way better, and they're not the most hated person in America every Sunday.
You remember when Gene took that note card out? And he felt like a genius, by the way. There's still a shot of him looking at the camera, basically, and putting it in his back pocket. And he's like, first down. I don't even need to bring him out. I got it here.
I noticed you left out Mike Carey.
He was very good at when they went to the booth and they were like, Mike, what do you think here? And he would say one thing and it would always absolutely be the other thing.
Yeah, that's not good. When the booth and the ref are never on the same page, not good. Mike Carey seemed to be never on the same page with the correct call. And the thing about him was he called a couple Super Bowls, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really when I think the NFL was like, can you get him off the television?
Wait, was he CBS?
Yes.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, Gene took his gig.
Yeah, because
Yeah, they were looking hard, too. They were like, we cannot mess this one up. But I bet you CBS people behind the scenes were like, how did he ref a Super Bowl? Does he know the rules? Well, we got a contract for another year with him. We'll just throw him out there and we get every fucking review wrong, I guess.
he was wrong every time.
Every time.
Every single time.
It never failed. He's like,
But even if you get them wrong, like you have to look comfortable on air. You have to be able to explain it in a very short amount of time, which is very foreign to pretty much everybody. You got to get reps doing it. But guys like Gene, like Pereira, they step in day one. They seem very comfortable, and they do a good job of explaining it to us fans that are watching.
I'm on your side here. Go ahead, Diggs.
The second news, this comes from Ian Rappaport. Free agent quarterback Cam Newton has not ruled out a backup quarterback job in the right situation. He wants to be a starter, but is open to being a backup.
Okay, that's not news.
He hadn't come out and said that before, AJ.
Hey, Diggs. Why don't whenever you talk and you say it's news, why don't you make it news, Diggs?
It's news.
Huh? Why don't you make it news? I'm just telling you what AJ
Where
said.
did he say it before?
Question.
Diggs, this is not a personal attack on you.
It seems like it.
Sure seemed like
Sounds like it.
I understand Cam originally there's stuff floated out there that he would sit out a season, or should he sit out a season, and all of this stuff. Of course, the right situation he would go to. He wants to be a starter. Cool. We already knew this, I feel like.
I agree. Most common sense, but there was a lot of people coming out and saying that he would not be open to being a backup. That's why the conversation was, should he sit out a year instead of being a backup quarterback? So I think that's why it's potentially news, because there's 58 days here without any live sports in America. So that's why it's news. It's Cam Newton and all that shit. But then a lot of the narrative started spinning that he shouldn't go to a place to be a backup. He should rather sit out. And I like that Ian Rappaport was definitely getting his information directly from Cam Newton, because in the tweet, he wants to be, parenthesis, and should be, by the way. So Rappaport's just like,
I love that.
let me let y'all motherfuckers know I am on this guy's side, a starter, but he's open to being a backup. Where would be a good place for him to be a backup quarterback? You got to have a strong starting quarterback, don't you think?
I'm glad you asked, Pat. So I was speaking to an anonymous scout yesterday, and I was asking him just about things going on around the league.
Wait a minute. We have an anonymous scout on this show?
Oh, yeah. He wants to be known as the anonymous scout. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, he works in the NFL. How long has he been in the NFL?
yeah.
He's in the NFC. He's been with a couple different teams. He's probably been in 15, 20 years now.
Oh, okay, so this guy knows. All right, here
So
we go.
he had this theory on Cam. He thinks for sure, obviously, Cam and coming off his foot and everything, people want to see that he's healthy, so that's a big reason why he's not signed right now. I was like, where's he going to go, man? Because in my eyes, I said, if he wants to start, the one place he should go that has the best chance of starting is New England. Now, I don't know if New England wants him. If he can go in there and beat out Stidham and Hoyer, that's the job. But you're not going to go sit behind. He's not going to have, like, can you see Cam doing a Jameis Winston thing? But my anonymous scout who I told you, he said, what about this? He said, what if Pittsburgh brought Cam in, gives him like a 2-year deal. First year is worth like $5 million. Second year can be up to like $20 million. If he becomes the starter, for some reason Ben retires, Ben's not healthy, he doesn't have it anymore, Tommy John doesn't take. If Cam can step into the role his second year, then he'll get a big payday, $20 million, revamp his career, parlay that into a long-term extension, possibly with the Steelers.
I think all of Pittsburgh was expecting that and hoping that with Jameis Winston. That's why the report, when it came out from a Bucks beat reporter, whatever he was, a blog kid named Nick Citro, that Jameis Winston turned down another offer from the Pittsburgh Steelers to go to the New Orleans Saints for a 1-year, $1.1 million deal, became such big news because the Pittsburgh Steelers had to come out and say, we have negotiated no deals with any other veteran quarterbacks, and they've always said that they're so sold on Mason Rudolph being their backup quarterback. That's much to the chagrin of the entire city and its fan base saying we are not 100% sold on Mason Rudolph. So whenever the thought that Jameis was potentially going to be a Steeler, I think a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans were happy with this. I might be speaking out of pocket, but I think that's accurate. If Cam Newton was to come in there now, the thing that was said was, why would you want to piss off Ben Roethlisberger by bringing in a guy that could potentially compete for his starting job if he struggles a little bit? Ben Roethlisberger is that he sees hole 18 as well. The thought was, if you bring in Cam Newton, maybe he feels as if you're pushing him out. And although Madden is a video game, this isn't a video game. Players do have feelings and personal stuff like that. Maybe they thought that could potentially rub Ben Roethlisberger the wrong way. When they brought in Ben Roethlisberger's offensive coordinator, they got rid of anybody who has problems with Ben Roethlisberger. It feels like the Steelers are mounting up for a round Ben Roethlisberger run that they had hoped to do last year, this year. But if he gets hurt, which inevitably normally happens, they have to rely once again on Mason Rudolph. And if he gets hit in the head with his own helmet and throws some picks, Doc Hodges comes in. I think all of Pittsburgh would be like, yes, give us Cam Newton. But I think what's happening inside the organization is we don't want to piss off Ben, and this is Ben's run. Am I wrong in saying everything that you've heard as a Steelers fan?
No, I think that's completely right. But I feel as a Steelers fan that if I was Ben Roethlisberger, just from a fan's point of view, like as the city views him, if he struggles for a little bit, I don't think the Steelers fans would call for Cam. Like I think they trust Ben enough that he shouldn't.
I don't think so.
I think it would create quite the drama in the circus if Ben came back and did not play well, and let's say weeks 1 and 2 he comes out and does not have good games. I think it would create a whole circus of problems.
And have you seen the vlogs that Cam Newton's been putting out? There's going to be people that watch that. There's going to be local shows that are promoting that. Mm-hmm. They got this guy sitting on the bench. They got this going on. I mean, now granted, I think Cam Newton should be on a roster just like, parentheses, and should be a starter. Like, I honestly feel that. And Pittsburgh seems like the right situation, especially whenever it comes from like a smart, like, hey, we need a guy, especially what we saw last year. But I think their big thing is we don't want to piss off Ben at all. Let's give him an opportunity with everything on the table for Ben, which, by the way, I think a lot of Packers fans wish that the Green Bay Packers would done.
Well, yeah, but if you're running a team, what is your job? Like, what's your responsibility? If you're the GM, you're the owner. Are you there to protect the feelings of your star players and make sure they feel comfortable and they're not upset? Or is it to set your team up for success now and in the future in case something happens like last year where Ben gets hurt, where you could have a guy that has played in the Super Bowl come in and be your quarterback?
Great question. And I think a lot of people would say the reason why the Steelers didn't make the playoffs last year is because they didn't have a backup quarterback. Right? I think just like the Packers, now, because we could say the same thing for the Packers situation with drafting Jordan Love, but I would go back to my thing, like, why didn't they make the Super Bowl last year? Why did they lose? Well, they didn't address that at all. The Steelers would be addressing the exact reason why they weren't able to win last year if they were bringing a backup quarterback, which is something you have to think about. But I would assume Colbert and Tomlin know Ben at this point, and they're like, listen, our job could be to look forward to the future, but I think we got a team right now that we can win with. Let's get our guy in here and make him feel good. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because if Tommy Yon doesn't take and he gets hurt or he gets hit or something like that, and they go back to Mason Rudolph, you got to hope, I guess, that Mason Rudolph has figured it out in one offseason, dating Bachelor stars, and then you got to hope that goes on. Or maybe you think that Cam Newton could still be on the street and bring him in. I don't know what you do, but that could be an evolving issue there if they don't sign Cam.
Yeah, I mean, the backup quarterback situation there is a mess right now. But and there's a lot of, I think the local media and fans love Ben. Like there's what Bruce Arians said about Ben on the show earlier today is getting picked up by a bunch of local Pittsburgh places right now just because it was good about Ben and that Ben's arm was previously probably hurt for more than a year. Blah blah, all that.
They should love Ben in Pittsburgh.
Correct.
Like, they should absolutely love Ben and what he has done there. I don't take it, like, if you brought Cam in, I understand how it might be weird. But, yeah, I mean, it is always weird, I guess, when there's a high-profile backup. It's like, okay, what if he goes 3-and-out his first series of the season? Then people are calling for Cam already. That's why I don't like having, like, the back and forth between who's going to be the starter, who should be. Like Chicago. If for some reason Chicago starts Mitch Trubisky, he goes 3-and-out, they're going to be booing the first series calling for Nick Foles.
That's a tough thing. That is a tough thing to deal. I mean, they were already calling for Nick Foles, and he wasn't even on the team last year in Chicago. They were calling for any quarterback that could possibly get them a win or two. I mean, that's just, especially at that position, because that's that you go as your quarterback goes. And by the way, I don't blame Colbert and Tomlin for if they decide not to bring in Cam, just strictly for being like, let's not piss off. I mean, let's just not do it. Let's just see if we can win, and then we'll build for the future. But Cam Newton, the timing of his release, the quarantine of his release, everything, it's going to be something we talk about for years to come, and eventually what happens. The same with Jameis. It's like those two guys, incredible football players, and they look like they're going to be able to only get better. Cam looks healthy, but nobody knows if that's 100% certain, and it's not a good time to sign a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, and Jadeveon Clowney is still out there on the market too. He's still a free agent. I'm curious where he goes. I did a serious show yesterday with my brother-in-law Brady Quinn, and we just
Okay. How was it? Good show?
Yeah, it was good, sure. So, but Brady brought up Jadeveon Clowney and where he was going and, like, what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, like, for the next 2 hours, we were talking Jadeveon Clowney. Like, people were calling it. Everyone had their, like, every person that was a fan of their certain team, like, why don't we bring Jadeveon in? Like, probably 12 different teams. And every single one, I'm like, yeah, I could talk myself into Jadeveon signing. Why you guys could use Jadeveon Clowney, bring him in, 1 year deal, pay him between, 12, 15 mil, kind of a prove-it deal. Hopefully he has a big year. Like, if you're like the Indianapolis Colts, a Colts fan called in and said that. And I'm like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. You got Phil Rivers. Let's go all in. Let's make a run at this thing right now in the next year or two and see what happens.
And you drafted DeForest Buckner in the first round. He's already an all-pro this year. I mean, you got Walker also as a linebacker there. You got a Malik Hooker going into his last contract year here. That defense and the Colts team's ready to cook. You get Jadeveon Clowney. If he's a disruptor, that's what he is. You're good. Allegedly, somebody told us on the show. Who told us? Somebody told us on the show that Jadeveon Clowney is potentially going to be a Jet, a Titan, or a Brown, and the number that they're waiting to get down to is around 15.
Chuck Robinson.
Charles Robinson of Yahoo, senior NFL writer at Yahoo, which is still a company, Yahoo Sports. He says that the Jets, Titans, and Browns are interested in Jadeveon Clowney, but they're waiting for the number because it was originally 20 plus. Then it got down to 20. Then they're waiting, I guess, for it to get down near 15 or below 15. I don't know. Is that just Jadeveon waiting to do that, or is there conversations happening? Like, how does that happen? I've never been worth that much a year. I don't fully understand how that happens.
Well, it sounds like there's conversations happening. I know Jadeveon came. He did an interview a day or two ago and mentioned like how good he feels. He's 100%. He's working out down in Texas somewhere, and he's just kind of taking his time, seeing what's out there. But yeah, just all that tells me is I think he has a lot of people that want him, but just the price isn't right yet for these teams to bring him in. They're waiting for him to lower his price a little bit, and we'll see. Like with Cam though, with Cam Newton, if he does sign, like there's nothing that's gonna happen in the next month or two, I would think, that's gonna spur a team to try to sign him now. It's gonna have to wait until training camp when somebody gets hurt or somebody isn't playing nearly as well as they hoped they would, and then all of a sudden Cam can come in and be the savior.
The only thing that sucks is that he doesn't get to learn an offense, right? That's the only thing. He's going to have to come in and be blind almost and play. Jacoby Brissett had to do this for the Colts 2 years ago. He got brought in from the Patriots like 7 days before the season started and started that weekend. It was like, he had some struggles, obviously. He didn't know he wasn't even on the team a week ago. Now he's a starting quarterback. That same type of thing will happen for Cam. But I think Cam is such a gamer and a vet. I'm pumped to see what happens with him. A couple more roster leaks or schedule leaks. Week 2, Lions at Packers. Then week 12 on Sunday Night Football, Bears at Packers. Also, Eagles versus Packers is scheduled for week 13, while Panthers at Packers is scheduled for week 15. So the Packers, who have Jordan Love now in the quarterback room with Aaron Rodgers and made it to the NFC Championship game, have at least one primetime television game in the second half of the season and probably more. Good for the Packers schedule getting released. That means there's loose lips inside the Packers organization. Never would have guessed that.
Yeah, no kidding. And also, they're one of the only teams not going to the little schedule release party on NFL Network tonight. So
5 teams were not represented. The Miami Dolphins are one of them. The Green Bay Packers are another one of them, not being represented on the NFL Network's draft coverage this evening.
Well, how did they get Belichick?
Because he won an Emmy with NFL Network this past year.
Yeah.
And Nike.
Nike's America's sweetheart.
Yeah.
Everyone wants more Nike.
How come they didn't get old Gunther Kuntz on there?
probably because no one respects him. No one wants to.
They don't want to
talk
answer those
to
questions.
him. No one likes him. So
has anyone
that'd be my
from
guess.
the front office talked yet, like on an actual interview, like a?
No, they're just leaking stories out like Kristen Cavallari. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they spoke. They spoke a couple days after the draft, I think.
Yeah, he did.
How'd it go?
He contradicted himself, like in the sentence. Like he said something, then immediately contradicted himself. So it was a pretty good.
What's that? A hyperbolic statement?
Paradox.
There it is.
Hyperbole is the word, but I don't know what it means.
It's like exaggeration.
Yeah.
Hey, but for real, like I know you
Oxymoron.
guys laughed at me or you got mad because Connor thinks Stidham is the next Tom Brady.
He is.
But is there any other team other than the Patriots that it looks like Cam could go in and like if you say, let's say Cam Newton goes into the New England Patriots, don't you think he can win that job during training camp?
Yeah, if he goes to the Las Vegas Raiders, there's a job he could win. They got 2 quarterbacks there, too.
I think he could win the Denver job, but like, do you ruin the?
It's a little harder to
progress of your
unseat
young
a guy
quarterback?
that's already like Derek Carr. Like people feel, I mean, some people are high on him, some people are low on him, but it's a little harder to unseat that guy than it is a guy who hasn't started yet, like Stidham.
I think Derek Carr will have success outside of the Raiders, by the way.
Yeah.
After he's let go of the Raiders, I think he will be a successful quarterback somewhere. It just feels like, for whatever reason, the Gruden Derek Carr thing is something that plays out in the public eye, and the perception is that they don't like each other. And then, obviously, the Davis and Tom Brady at the fight thing, which we're not 100% sure that ever came to be. Then they bring in Mariota and pay him $8 million a year. Look at what Jameis made, and look what Andy Dalton just signed for. The fact that the Raiders signed Marcus Mariota to $8 million to be a backup quarterback, shout out to Mariota's agent, but also they said that's going to be a competition, I think, for that deal, which is very interesting.
Are they saying that's an open competition?
I don't know. I just kind of.
I don't think so.
I just kind of made that up.
If you're the Bears, why don't you bring him in there, turn it into an Earl Thomas situation?
Yeah, they did it to the kicking situation. Last year they had fucking 15 kickers kicking from the same spot every single day. Yeah, this will be good. This
Now
will
we
be how
have
we
10 tight ends. Let's go.
This will be how you handle this situation properly. This is good. Oh, by the way, we got a new intro song. Did you know this, AJ?
I did not.
Yeah, somebody sent in a new intro video and a new intro song. And I think since we're about 50 minutes into this thing, we might as well start the show. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday, May 7th. Welcome to McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk.
Quick, clack.
Hey,
Wait.
you pulling that sled, dude. You were pulling that
I
sled.
really pulled it like 100 times for that commercial.
I had to do a Cheez-It shoot where they put me through a marathon of workouts. How uncomfortable were those shoes?
Well, when I came in, that was the very first shoe, like cleat that Under Armour came out with.
Those had to be so incredibly uncomfortable. Under Armour shoes have grown immensely since that first couple pairs, but I remember some teammates of mine trying on those original Under Armours in about, 4 minutes into practice going, get this shit, get these things off, and watching you pull that sled, and then Jonathan Vilma was running like a 3-cone drill, and Vernon Davis was doing it. I was like, that had to be a nightmare of a commercial shoot for that thing.
Yeah, luckily I was young and didn't know any better, but yeah, it was a long day, but their cleats definitely got a lot better from those first ones.
Quick, clack.
How many shoots for that? How many takes?
Oh, I probably messed it up 30 or 40 times.
Quick, clack.
Click. Clack.
Hey, that had to be a big payday, though.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
How long did you remain in Under Armour? Are you still in Under
I
Armour?
was only with them 3-4 years probably.
And then you went over to Nike for comfortable shoes?
Well, I had a weird deal. I wore Nike cleats, but I spatted. Under Armour in my contract, I was allowed to spat because they weren't licensed with the league yet when they first got in, so I could spat. I got used to the spat. I had to. I couldn't officially sign with Nike because they don't let you spat, so I wore Nike cleats, and I kind of had this apparel deal with another company.
Yeah, the Nike non-spat rule was always one that was highly contemplated and talked about in the locker room because that's a big deal. They want their swoosh to be out there. And then there was always some conversation like, well, can't we just like maybe write on top of the tape that we're doing this and things of that nature? And this is all being talked about right now in my eyes because Justin Herbert has not officially signed with Nike. In Pro Football Talks, Mike Florio was like, he said on our show that he's loyal to Nike because he's from there where it was created in Oregon, Eugene, blah, blah, blah. And Nike still hasn't signed him yet, which is interesting to me because normally guys get shoe deals very quickly. I mean, they want you to be suited and booted in their stuff stat. They're betting on you being good. And it might not be a massive amount of money, but on the back end, you get all this apparel for free that you go to these websites and you could buy. Normally, Nike gets in there early. I'll never forget, I had a Nike deal. I had a $5,000 cash they gave me. It was very nice of them. And I think it was another $10,000 worth of apparel I could get off their website. And that was back whenever they had, who was the golf company that they were, or the nice shoe company? They had a...
Cole Haan?
Cole Haan. They were with Cole Haan. So I spent all my money basically on Cole Haan stuff, all of it. And then I got some Nike stuff. And I still had like maybe $2,700 worth of merch left. And I was just going to Christmas, right? I'm just going to get everybody some Nike stuff. And Phil Knight went and spoke at Joe Paterno's funeral. And I was like, at this point, I was all in on the fact that Joe Paterno, although he won a lot of football games, I think he knew very much what old
Nebraska.
Yeah, old Jerry Sandusky was doing. So I questioned that, and I was like, I'm like, what do you guys got going on or whatever? They're like, do you not want to be a part of Nike anymore or whatever? And I was like, I felt like the guy kind of tried me a little bit, right? And I was like, yeah, I don't. How about that? And they're like, all right. And they just took my deal from me, right? So I had $2,700 left. And I was like, and it was kind of like I was like, yeah, I don't. And they were like, okay. And just my code wouldn't work anymore. So I'm like, yeah, I took a fucking stand, right? I took a real stand. 1 year later, Nike became the official sponsor of the NFL. I had Nike everything on because they sponsored everything. $0, zero merch, zero apparel. Still wear Nike. I have to pay for it for the rest of my life.
I mean, I get it, man. I understand. But what were you were taking a stand on what?
Joe knew.
Joe knew.
Nebraska.
Joe knew.
Do you still feel the same way you did back then?
Even more so now, yeah.
I guess I never really dove deep into it, but hey, that's good for you taking a stand, man, and leaving money on the table because you're standing up for what you believe in.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I just raised the question, and they're like, "What you got?" Yeah, I fucking do. You got what? All right, see ya. No more.
They just deactivate your account right then.
Yeah, I was like, and I felt kind of good about it too. I was like, yeah, I took a stand for the right thing here. This was kind of what I think this was not a bad thing. I'm asleep at night, and then Christmas came around, and those shoes were more expensive than I remembered before getting that little deal. Things had to happen, but those shoe deals happen on a regular basis. And
well, yeah. Now though, like when I first got in the league, it was a little different where they were giving out more. Like everyone wanted cash on top of their product, like the amount of product you get. And then as time went, it was like only quarterbacks are getting decent cash and product. And then all of a sudden, like there's a lot of big players that pretty much just got product.
Yeah, product was everything. They're like, we'll give you maybe $700 and then give you $10,000 worth of gear though you can wear. I'm like, I don't think that's a good deal.
You can go through that pretty quick if you go on that website and you're trying to order for family and friends. Once they know you have that account, it goes fast.
I was trying to get on Team Jordan there for a while. I was pushing real hard.
That would be nice. Brand Jordan. Charles Woodson, he wore Jordans.
No money. It's no money, but you just get everything that they create.
It's like doing the Super Bowl.
Just shows up in the lot. Dwight Freeney was obviously on there. Hakeem Nicks was on there.
Yeah, Jordan cleats.
Oh yeah, and they would just show up. Things would just show up at their locker, and it's like, damn, those. Yeah, he's on Team Jordan. What did you think?
No, I remember Terrell Owens cleats. I never saw Dwight Freeney ones.
Oh yeah, Freeney had good ones on.
Z was about to order Jordan cleats this morning. That's
yeah.
There was some Jordan cleats left in my locker whenever I got there in the bottom part. And I was going to wear them. And
so just coming out.
I guess they were Marvin Harrison's. They were like, you should not put those on.
Did you wear two different cleats?
I think my rookie year I did strictly because Vinatieri was either with Under Armour or Reebok. I forget it. I think Under Armour. I don't know. I took one of his shoes because I was trying to get a shoe deal. So he let me use one of his shoes. I was like, yeah, I'll use it. I like it. I thought that was a way for me to get a shoe deal. And then it turned out I got no shoe deals. I mean, it just.
Did you ever think about stealing one of Peyton's pair of those giant high top Nikes that went up to his knees?
I think he was giving them away at one point.
No, Reeboks. My bad. He had those. Reebok got out of the league shortly after that, but man, Peyton's Reeboks looks like they weighed 400 pounds.
He used to come out too for every training camp, one of these practices. He would have a full visor on too. He would have the big high that he would put on. Like it was just always. The locker room was electric on these days because he would obviously walk out of his locker, right, and he would have this visor helmet on, and he would just walk past everybody as if nothing was different, and then his shoes would be these big ass moon shoes, and you would hear the D-line be like, big headed, right? It was just like it was one of those things that like broke up the monotony. Yeah. But now that you see the photos of it, it's like taken out of context. It's like, man, those are terrible cleats. But he did it. He did it strictly to lift the boys up, I think, which I can appreciate.
I just found Dwight Freeney's cleats. They are Very nice. I was a big fan of those.
Yeah, he's one of Jordan's boys.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Woodson would all of a sudden like he'd show up at practice wearing some sweet new Jordan cleats that we'd never seen, never heard of. I don't know if he wore them in games ever, but he always had new cleats that he was working on. Of course, their apparel is awesome. Yeah, being a part of like Brand Jordan would be, yeah, I think I would do it.
How many Caucasians are on the Jordan team? I think that was my initial push to Dwight Freeney whenever he and I became friends. Was like,
I don't know. I've never looked at that.
Hey, why don't you tell MJ that if he needs a white guy? I mean, the punter's probably not the right move for Team Jordan. But if you guys ever on a golf course, and having cigars, just let him know I love Jays and would love to stop paying for him. I mean, that would be.
Is Keegan Bradley the only?
He might be.
Yeah, he might be. I know he wears Jays.
Michigan has Brand Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Thomas.
so is UNC too.
Florida.
Yeah, I mean they're Nike official, like they're Nike, but then they're the Brand Jordan logo on all their stuff.
And a lot of people, because Earl Thomas is a part of Team Jordan, maybe they were just trying on shoes and they didn't want to distract from the shoes with clothes. And the
Get
wife
those fibers from the clothes on the shoes. All of a sudden, the shoes are ruined.
let
too.
alone the coronavirus that could potentially be on the clothes that could be dropping onto the Jays. And do we want? Is now the time?
Can't be doing that.
Can't be doing that.
Uh-uh.
I think it's a big misunderstanding, honestly, but it's a good show. Good show.
I never got Connor's opinion on what happens if Cam Newton signs with New England.
I mean, if Cam Newton takes $1 million to come play backup to the future of the NFL and Jarrett Stidham, then he can do that by all means. But I mean, I just don't think I don't want that for Cam. I want to see him on the field.
AJ, I don't want to be that guy, but listening to people describe Jarrett Stidham as a football player is a bit alarming.
Tell me what you mean.
He works really hard. He's a nice guy. I guess Bill Belichick has this vision. These are the things that are being said whenever people are being asked if Jarrett Stidham's a good quarterback. I trust Bill Belichick's vision for the team.
Bill trusts him, so I trust him.
He's an athlete. I have not heard, and now granted, maybe this is the team messaging, like, hey, just know that this is our vision, this is our path going forward. I haven't heard one person be like, he lit up that day. I mean, he was just slinging the ball all over the yard.
So they're talking about him as a person and how hard he works, but they're not mentioning anything of how he throws the ball or how he reads defenses or how he's been making plays.
Bingo. That is what I'm talking about.
The McCourty brothers did bring it up when they first talked about Stidham. I think it was beginning of March. They said he was very, very good. Gilmore talked about how he had them ready, and then ever since then, it's just been he's a good guy. He played defense on scout team. Was what Larry Guy told us yesterday.
Yeah, so
maybe that comes from Bill. Maybe Bill is telling, hey guys, like we don't need to be putting any information out there.
Which I love, by the way. If Bill Belichick's on these Zoom meetings, you're going to get asked about Stidham. Shut the fuck up. I believe in him. You believe in him. Let's just fucking move on. Because that's basically what they're all saying. Bill believes in him, so we believe in him.
Yeah.
And David Andrews verbatim said that, and Stidham's been over Andrews' house multiple times, so you would think he would at least pump him up a little bit.
Yeah, because they're friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smart, by the way. That's the Patriots, by the way, playing chess and not playing checkers, which is a game I like to play. Jump over, you king me. Let's get moving here. I'm going to make my way back now, too, with this king son bitch. And I'm going to jump over everybody. Boom, 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 like it's Cracker Barrel front yard.
Do you think if, let's say Jarrett Stidham comes out and doesn't play well the first half of the season, let's say they're 4-4 through their first 8 games, and he just isn't playing well, their defense helped him win a few of the games and just not looking good, are people going to come down hard on Bill Belichick and find okay, let's say Cam Newton still doesn't have a job then, and they're 4-4. What's going to happen?
Same thing that you think about when did you just say young quarter? Oh, Drew Lock. Same thing you think about with Denver. It's like, do you let this kid grow? Do you let him now granted when Tom Brady went and they went to the Super Bowl is whenever Drew Bledsoe got hurt, but do you let him grow? Do you let him have his ebbs and flows so that we can have a good future? Or do we bring in the permanent answer right now in Cam Newton? It has been said that the Patriots have had zero interest in Cam Newton. That has come out on numerous occasions, even though they were one of the only teams looking to his physical on his health early. So, I mean, who knows what the hell's going to happen, man?
I mean, who knows? There's only one Bill Belichick knows, and then who's his right-hand guy that he trusts?
Ernie Adams.
Ernie Adams up there in the booth, the old man that knows everything about everything.
There's only a few guys that know how they feel about the quarterback situation there in New England, and neither of them are going to say anything.
Ernie Adams got those binocs and signals on the other team. And he's got that walkie-talkie. I think they're running cover 3. Fucking phone it in. Yep, we seen it. Let me dissect it. Oh, they're running deep. That's what that guy is. I think he's a Rain Man, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's a Rain Man. Ernie Adams is a Rain Man. He just knows everything about everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite a weapon to have in your repertoire.
All about football.
I would assume every other team is trying to find their football Rain Man too. That's why the Patriots are different. Patriots win because they got Ernie Adams, Rain Man up top with the binocs, and you got Bill Belichick running things, and you got a messaging department telling you how to talk about the quarterback of the future potentially. And you still got Cam Newton on the market, and you also got the NFL schedule being released tonight, which we will react to tomorrow. No Andy Dalton because he told us to go fuck ourselves. We'll be back tomorrow with another incredible edition of McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk. You're the greatest. Cheers.
Quick, clap.
Jeez,
On the internet from 1 to 2 Eastern Standard Time. So come on down for a mental vacation with the boys on YouTube Live. It's McAfee and Hawk. It's McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk. AJ used to tackle quarterbacks and he's a Rust Belt kind of guy.
AJ Hawk.
That's the punter of the decade for the 2010s.
Kicking businesses to the sky.
It's McAfee and Hawk. It's McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk. It's McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk.